Hello and welcome to IntoWine's Tasting Room. I'm your host, Lisa Kolenda. Today we're at Yield, San Francisco's first and only organic wine bar. The tasting theme for today is organic wines under $30. This is a 2003 Mas de Daumas Gassac from the Languedoc-Roussillon region in France. This is a $30 wine. It also happens to be a Broadbent wine. So please tell us a little bit more about this.
Well, actually, we used to import this wine, but we don't anymore. We just have inventory of it, which we're selling still. But it's a very famous wine in France, a French Riviera lot, and my father's always been a great fan of this wine. In fact, he once wrote that it's one of the 100 best wines in the world, the white wines from Gassac. But this vintage, what did we say it was? 03. So it's got some age to it, so hence it's got some really deep colour, much more colour than you would expect. There are a ton of different grape varieties in this wine, just from grapes from all over the place, and there's no one specific grape to it. Let's smell it.
What a contrast. Like this sort of pale gold, well not so pale, it's sort of shining. I always look for a brilliant colour. If you have a fine wine, it's usually a star white. And this is very attractive, very positive. So it's quite the opposite to the pale Sauvignon Blancs which one sees on the market. And I know found it extremely well because I think I was almost in at the start. What is unusual about this is that although it's in a region which was famous for its rather ordinary wines, this family found a little microclimate, a little valley which is very special. And he got a famous agronomist and expert from Bordeaux who said this soil is going to be a fantastic variety.
I will read to you the grape varieties because I haven't memorized them, but it's 25% each. Viognier, which came from Condrieu, Petit Mensonge, which came from Jurançon, Chardonnay, which came from Burgundy, and then there are 25% very well-known varieties from Georgia, Armenia, Madeira, and other parts of Europe. So it's a huge mishmash of grapes. And this wine is completely organic. Prior to them buying it, what, in the 70s?
I don't remember exactly what it is in my earlier book.
Yeah, whenever they bought it, the family that was living there had never had a tractor on it even. It was ploughed by ox. It was two women and their brother, two sisters and a brother, and the women vowed never to get married until the brother had got married, and the brother never got married, so none of them ever got married. And they just lived off the land, and eventually they had to sell it, because they were too old to farm it, and they were given a house on the property to live out their lives, but meanwhile this family bought it. So, what do you think of it, Chris?
I think it's definitely it's a rich wine. It's got kind of a honeyed, caramely flavor without being heavy, which I think is hard to do. It's not at all flabby. I think it was $30, you said?
They're usually fairly expensive. They must.
Yeah, I think it's.
But on the other hand, it's got real character.
Yeah, it has character. It's serious. I would think it could be more expensive for sure. Just kind of the pedigree of it all.
I think actually it is more expensive, but because we're selling it off to get rid of our inventory, we've brought it down to $30. But I think at its height it was around 58 when we were selling it at full price.
Okay, yeah, that seems more. I mean, the Languedoc is, it's a region of, it's such a mixed bag. You can get a great bottle of wine for $8.
Yeah.
And also it's kind of the most American-friendly region, I think. It's the third of, a lot of wine is imported to America. So it's more for an American palate, which I think.
I don't think he was aiming at that.
It's not aiming, I don't know if that's aiming for it, but it has a rich feel to it that I think people like.
The region, of course, about 20 years, when I first came into trade, it was half a century ago, it was absolute rubbish produced there. And it was consumed in carafes, in rough cafes.
I think it was because of the ox.
Maybe. But anyway, but now, of course, there's some really wonderful wines being made by very intelligent winemakers, and they're becoming very well known. And of course, we have Australian and New Zealand winemakers flying over. Very handy, because it is winter time in New Zealand, it's summertime or harvest time in Europe.
Yeah. Of course, this wine, although it's in the Languedoc region, it's not technically called a Languedoc because it doesn't contain the authorized grapes that are used in
Now, do you think people are hesitant to pick up a wine like this because of the pronunciation of the name? It's a little hard to say, oh, tonight we're having...
Yeah, I think though it appeals to the more intellectual. When you categorize the consumer, there are 7 different types of consumer. I can't remember what they all are, but one is the comfort drinker, one is the lane drinker, one is... This definitely appeals to the intellectual wine who's the person who's seeking out something different.
And
So-
it is different, and the reds also.
Because for a bar like yield, it's a perfect sort of, because you want
Yeah.
to educate people and show them something they'll never see normally.
And also on the back, it says it says Viognier and Chardonnay. So with anyone with any kind of basic wine knowledge would know that it's going to be a heavier style. I think, and that's
Against those alcohol, 13% is perfectly reasonable.
yeah, no, exactly. But versus something like super racy and acidic.
Yeah.
You're
You'd never
getting a
expect someone to
mouthfeel.
just pick that off the shelf unless they've actually heard of it or looked at the back label.
Yeah.
A very hot vintage, 2003 of course in France. And these wines keep, and they've changed in character slightly.
Yeah.
I think that's a wonderful wine.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for tasting our fabulous Mas de Daumas Gassac from the Languedoc-Roussillon region of France. Again, it retails for $30, and you can find out more about this wine and other wines at IntoWine.com.